This piece was commissioned by the Berlin Philharmonic a few years ago as an addendum, an addition to a recording project of the Philharmonic for The Planets by Gustav Holst. And they commissioned 4 composers to contribute for asteroids, as they said. And when I received the commission, I visited a museum in Berlin called the Hamburger Bahnhof. It's a museum for contemporary art. And there's a big piece by the very significant and famous German artist Joseph Beuys called Osiris. And it's a huge, empty, untreated canvas on which he applied different patches which he used to create a very famous piece of him called the felt suit. And you know, every tailor has these patches which he puts on top of the fabric to cut out the fabric in the right shape. So these paper patches were just applied to the canvas, all splattered over that huge canvas. And it really inspired me to read about the myth of Osiris. So I got more familiar with the myth of Osiris, and then instantly I thought, well, there's also an asteroid in the galaxy called Osiris, so I thought that would be a nice thing. And what was so fascinating about Osiris for me is, first of all, the story, which I find very moving, and also the formal aspect behind it. The story of Osiris is that he was a very popular god in Egypt at his time. He was very generous in sharing his wealth. And he was married to lovely Isis, his wife and sister at the same time. So that was obviously possible at that time. And he had a brother, Zet, who was not popular, who was not liked by the people, and who was very aggressive and always more and more jealous with his brother. And at some point he got so envious and jealous that he killed his brother and tore his body apart and scattered them all over the country. The wife of Osiris, Isis, just by the power of her love and her endurance over many, many years, found all these pieces and brought them back home and put them all together. And you probably have seen antique images of the goddess Isis with her beautiful, huge, colorful wings, which she sways, and then by this movement and her love, she reanimates her husband, brings him back to life. But, and this is so interesting and moving for me, is from that moment on, when he comes back alive, they can't stay together because he has to remain in the underworld and he is reigning as the god of the dead from that point on. So she reanimates him after years of longing and struggling and searching, and brings him back to life, and they can't stay together. I think it's a very moving story which inspired me. And then the formal aspect for me as a composer, to show an entity of sound, like a compact sound, then tearing it apart, showing all the individual segments, and then putting them back together at the end of the piece, and it seems to be the same but in a different quality or different conditions. So that was formally very intriguing for me as a composer.